Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. This is Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today we are reacting to last night's episode of Ready to Love Potomac, Season 6, and, wow. Just wow. This season actually is flying by, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this point, but, we'll just get into it. So it was the guys' week to where they're responsible for an elimination of one of the women by the end of the week or what have you. And Tommy's assignment was for them to basically have their friends meet the ladies, and basically their male best friends were going to give them their assessment of who they felt was a better fit. So we start off with Tori, and Tori just looks over this process. He's been checked out since the barbecue event when Sabrina had went over to kiss Demetrius. He's been checked out since then, completely checked out of the process. And so he brings his friend, and originally it was supposed to be Ace and Sabrina that shows up for this meet and greet or what have you, except for Ace is a no-show. And Tori is trying to contact her, he's trying to call her, he's trying to text her, he's getting no response. And so it ends up just being Sabrina. And so the friend, of course, really likes Sabrina, but of course, Tori's in his feelings because he's like, yeah, I feel like she's flip-flopping and she's indecisive and she's unsure. And here's the real Tori. The real is Sabrina reminds me of Season 2's Alexis, where throughout the process towards the beginning, remember, all the men were after her. She was the main one that was going on on all of these dates and this and that, until she eventually settled on London. But prior to that, she was basically just trying to get to know each gentleman to see who was going to be the best match for her, who was going to be the best fit, and this and that. And I feel like this is the approach that Sabrina is taking. Sabrina is taking the approach of this being an actual dating process. Yes, she may have stronger feelings for a particular gentleman, but she's still going to follow the appropriate, dating process of getting to know these men. And if she likes somebody more than others, then she knows who she can narrow it down to. What I don't understand is the double standard, though, right? It's like these shows are set up for the women to fight over the same man, right? But then it's a problem when multiple men are interested in the same woman, and it's an issue if the woman wants to continue to date to see who's the best fit for her, right? Because you have Joy and Clifton who are already basically booed up and everything else. So it's Sabrina is still trying to take everything in stride. And so she was the popular one that got all of these dates. But I don't think it's a slight to Tori. I think, she brought him a gift. I don't recall her bringing anyone else a gift. I feel like she still likes him, but I feel like I feel like Donovan's kind of went to her number one, and I feel like she's trying to assess whether or not he's ready to love, if he's ready to date, with it being so soon from his divorce. But on the flip side, she recognizes they have so much in common with their upbringing, both being from Cali and, both being recently out of, serious, situations or what have you. So there's a lot of commonalities there, but she just doesn't know if he's emotionally ready to, embark on this. So I feel like, to an extent, she's kind of got Tori still on her radar, but not really. But she was the popular one. All the guys took her out pretty much. Literally except for Paul, I want to say. So, Tori took her out. Also, Demetrius and his friend took her out, and that was weird because the friend was like, yeah, you need to be submissive. And Sabrina's like, hold up, what do you mean submissive? I don't subscribe to that. And he's like, well, if you want him, you better do this. I'm like, oh no. And I think people, and that's the thing too, we have to be careful of what we're defining as submissive and what that entails, because if you just blanket it in 2022 with submissive, people are thinking that you are talking about the 1940s. So we have to be, very much like, hey, what are you saying? Are you talking about gender roles? Like, you want me to just stay at home and be like wifey, raise the kids, cook, clean, and everything else, and like not be a boss, not, run things and, make money and all this and that. So people have to be clear on what they mean about submissive, because it can go in a totally other direction to where they're expecting women to fall at your beck and call and do whatever you want and all this nonsense. So I definitely felt Sabrina when she was like, what? And so then also she went out with Donovan, and Donovan apparently is BFFs with Phil from last season. Remember Phil? Phil, who was for the most part involved with Shiloh until that alleged incident in the alley happened, and then he ended up choosing Sabrina, or not Sabrina. Why is Sabrina on my mind? Oh yeah, because we're talking about her. He ended up choosing Sydney. And remember, they said at the reunion that they were together still in this and that. But remember, last week, I want to say Sydney said that it was over, that they were donezo, and that there was an issue because he was feeling himself with all the DMs. Sounds familiar. Sounds like the same issue that Aisha ran into with Dante. That all of a sudden a certain caliber of women that maybe they weren't getting prior, or the level of attention or the amount of women that are in their DMs, now all of a sudden they think they're too good for the women that they connected with on the show, which is bogus, right? Because how many of these women in their DMs are truly into them, or if they just are into them because they were on TV, right? And they just want a little bit of groupie love or whatever. And so, that's why I was laughing in the episode, because I'm like, how long ago was this show filmed? Because if you are still with Sydney, we're having to be talking about, this must have been sometime last year, right? This must have been sometime towards the end of last year, because I think the reunion taped around November or so. So either end of last year or early this year that this would have had to tape, because I believe this show this season was filming in the middle of us watching season 5. So this is has to be months ago, right? That, Phil is, saying that things are good, that he found his person and blah, blah, blah. So, but ultimately also, I want to say her name is it Tony or Terry? Is it Tony, Terry, or Christina? I don't even know, at this point anymore. But anyways, she's the girl with the curly hair, and she has the 2-year-old, and she showed up in this cat suit and basically was not interested in this date at all with Phil, with Donovan. She could care less. She had stuff to do. She was just there so she didn't get fined. So she showed up for filming, but she did not care about this date at all. She did not seem interested. She didn't seem to be featuring it. And so basically Phil, and I think we all know that, Phil basically felt like Donovan's better match is with Sabrina. So there was that. Then we had a funny segment with P.O. Paul and Chill Will, and I'm like, what is happening? And then it was just a weird time. So Carmen's there, and I have no idea what's happening. And also Sakia's there, and it's just hilarious. It is just absolutely hilarious. Their whole takeaway, their whole approach, what they were asking, it was just funny to me, because I'm like, I cannot take this segment seriously at all. Where, what is going on? And then also we had Clifton and his friend meet Joy and Sakia as well. And obviously, you know, Clifton basically is all in with Joy. And I think they were trying to make it a thing. They were trying to make it a Zakiya versus Joy thing for Clifton, but it just wasn't catching on. It was not moving the needle. It was not giving what I think production was hoping it was going to give. So they had a very small segment. And so then after that, before we got to the male deliberation, all of a sudden, Tori's like, yeah, I've got this date with Ace. And I'm like, what? What do you mean you have a date with Ace? And so he gets there, and actually Ace, like, she was like glammed up for real. And, you know, basically they were talking, and he was, you know, saying how he couldn't get a hold of her, and like, where were you? And so eventually Ace comes down, and she's like, yeah, I decided to remove myself from the process. And I was like, what? No. But real talk, I don't think she liked Tori like that. I think she really was just all in on Laverne, and it was Laverne or bust. And I think she felt once Laverne was gone, there was no reason for her to still be there. And she said, peace out. But rumor has it she's actually, you know, allegedly with somebody else from season 5. So we'll have to get to that at a later date. But I find that to be hilarious. So, but yeah, she basically quit the show. So then we go to meal deliberation, and, you know, nephew Tommy is, you know, trying to grill the guys, and Tori tells him about Ace, and he's like, well, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me? Like, call me when these things happen. Because I think nephew Tommy probably wanted to have a conversation with Ace as well, and like film something to talk about the why she is going to end her journey. Because normally when people, well, this is something recent they started to do, right? Because in the earlier seasons when like the female or male, whoever, just like removed themselves from the process, it wasn't this whole thing like we have to have like a one-on-one conversation with nephew Tommy. This is something recent that they've been doing over the past couple of seasons, in part because there's been like actual incidents that have been occurring, but as well hearing both sides of the story as to why somebody's removing themselves. And a lot of the times it's either because of an incident, or it's because the person they felt was their strongest match got eliminated, so therefore they eliminate themselves. And so Tommy was just trying to like find out. And then I liked it because I was laughing because he was dragging Paul the whole episode, telling him that his clothes were wrinkled and that he needed to look sharp and this and that. And, you know, and Paul is so much more talkative now. Like, remember when he was with Precious at that barbecue and he did not like the energy and said like 2 words to her? Now he's like full of conversation to people, you know? So it really depends. You can tell, you know, if a man is into you or if he is over you by how much he's going to try to engage in conversation with you. Like, I don't know what was happening earlier on with, remember when Precious was just, she had way too much of the liquor at that event. So that's what happened there. But anyways, all of the men, you know, were kind of going back and forth. They couldn't come to a consensus on who they wanted to eliminate. And I thought they were still going to do an elimination, even though Ace removed herself. And then finally in the 11th hour, Tommy's like, well, are you guys going to need some more time? And, you know, if you guys need some more time, then we can do this another day. And we could do an elimination another day. And I'm like, really, Tommy? Like, we could have started with that the moment that you found out that Ace was no longer there. Like, why did we have to even go through this segment of them going back and forth? And now all of a sudden, they are going to be going to a little weekend retreat. You know how they do that every season? They have like a weekend at like some house, and all of the male and females that are still left in the process, they're all there, and they want to see kind of what pops off. If there's anybody that's in a triangle, like what is the move? So that is where we left off in the episode with no elimination. The preview for next week looks lit because obviously Clifton and Joy are a thing, and they both have their bags in the same bed. And Zakiya feels a certain type of way. She feels disrespected. But yeah, there's that. But I think the thing is that, you know, I think this is like really her main connection. I don't see a long-term connection with her and Paul. I think Paul and Carmen are going to probably be one of the final couples, and I think also Joy and Clifton will be one of the final couples. And you know, depending on who Sabrina chooses, really it's Sabrina's, you know, choice. I think she'll end up at the end. I'm hoping it's her and Donovan. I see the connection with her and Tori, but I think he's just been so checked out, like I said, from that barbecue, that I don't know if they're going to be able to come back from that in time for the finale. So we'll have to see like what takes place from that point. But that was essentially the episode. It moved so fast. I really didn't feel like there was like a lot of meat in the episode, like in terms of like a lot of drama or like a lot of insight to anything really with a lot of these things. It was kind of just like going through the motions this episode. And so I'm hoping the next episode at the retreat is lit, and that it is, you know, entertaining and everything else, because it looks like Zakiya feels a certain way about how Joy and Clifton are being, but I don't understand, because they've pretty much been like literally attached to the hip since they first met. So yeah, so there's that. And also, apparently in the previews, Christina is MIA, and Donovan is trying to get a hold of her because she didn't show up for the retreat. And then it looks like Sabrina is leading the charge of eliminating a male. So that should be interesting. So we will see, I guess, what takes place at this point. Because it seems as though there are very few, like we're just like dwindling down randomly, all of a sudden. So we will see like what happens from here. But yeah, so there's that. What did you guys think? Did you guys watch the episode? Let me know your guys' thoughts. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again soon.